Welcome back to another episode of the Generation Elevation podcast. Now, today I am joined by a very special guest, and I'm really excited to have this feminine energy on my show today because if you've been listening lately, we've had a couple of really incredible men on my show, but it is so lovely to be in the presence of this guest today. Now, this woman, she is a self-empowerment expert, and she is helping rewrite the narrative around aging. Now, if you're listening to this, the reason why you need to keep listening is because she's helping her clients, her community, get excited about aging rather than being in fear of it. She's rewriting that narrative so that you can be excited and take your power back. So that is why you need to make sure you stop what you're doing, subscribe to this show, and keep on listening, because I would like to introduce to you today Moon Onyx Star. Hello, Moon.
Thank you so much for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Like I said, it's so nice to have some feminine energy on the show. Guys, if you're watching this back, Moon looks absolutely amazing today. She's just full of beautiful colors. I was like, wow, yes, this is the vibe. Bringing the vibes today.
All the springtime, right? It's a sunny, gorgeous day in London. Gotta show up and show out for spring, right?
%. So for my audience that are listening and tuning in today, and even some of your community will be listening to this show, why do they need to keep listening? I mentioned turning fear into excitement about aging, but what would you say is the main point for listeners to keep watching today?
I would say it's because we have been so conditioned by society to think a certain way, to feel a certain way, to operate a certain way. And I'm going to help your listeners and my community further take their power back by undoing that conditioning, really stepping into your true authentic self. So I'm happy to share some of the steps. I'm happy to share the things the tools that have been most transformational for my clients. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell.
I love it so much. Okay, so you are a self-empowerment expert, right? So what defines a self-empowerment expert? What does that mean to you?
To me, it really means just taking your power back. So it really is about self-empowerment. The reason why it's so important to me is because we have been disempowered. As individuals, we've been disempowered. So the way that society has been designed, the education system, it's been designed in a way to keep us down and we lack confidence, I've just been chatting with a friend recently and his music producer name is Gifted. And I love that he affirms and he says things like, I'm amazing. I turn heads. We are taught not to talk like this. And he's a man and he's so stepping into his power and affirming who he is. And he's the SHIT, he is that. And it's yes, because we've been told, especially as women as well, we've been told we have to be humble. We have to be quiet. We have to be a bit meek and soft. Actually, why can't we just stand in our power and claim that bad bee energy?
I love that so much. Okay, so for the listeners that are tuning in today, what are some examples of being disempowered? You mentioned lack of confidence and being held back by limiting beliefs, mental blocks, but how does someone know that that is the case for them? Because I know for my journey, there was a point where I didn't even actually know I was holding myself back or that I was disempowered. I kind of just accepted that was the way life was. So I'd love to hear about your journey, maybe even your realization to stepping into your power.
Okay, so I would say, to answer your question first and foremost, you said about what is the first step? How do we notice? What's that? So that is self-awareness. The first step is self-awareness. We are running on autopilot. We are, again, just doing the motions. We're moving through life in motion without stopping, without thinking, without reflecting, is this right for us? Is this what we're meant to do? Is this authentic to us? But because we're given a certain set of a checklist by society, we're given a checklist where we must follow these rules, right? And this is why, this is again something about age empowerment. It's about not following society's rules or rules of your neighbor or what we've been fed and told. It's about actually taking time, stopping, having that self-awareness, right? Stopping yourself in your tracks. Is this aligned with me? So question everything. I really encourage people to question everything. The job you're doing, the people you're surrounding yourself with, the actions that you're taking. Do you want a partner for you? Do you want to get married for you? Do you want kids for you? Or is this an expectation that's been placed upon you by society, by family, by friends, by peers, by the media? So I would say my greatest advice would be just to stop right now. Stop what we're doing. Stop what you're doing, whoever's listening, stop what you're doing. Question all of the life choices you're making. Are they aligned with you? And for me, it really comes down to your values as well. Because again, the industries that really profit off of it's a form of disempowerment, because they're feeding us so many things like sugar, tobacco, alcohol, things that are keeping us down, things that are really suppressing our growth, things that are blocking us from moving forward in life. So many lies we've been fed. And so it comes down to every area of your lifestyle. So looking at our lifestyle, looking at our career choices, looking at your values. Because again, when we run on autopilot, we become very disconnected from the values, from our true authentic selves. We tend to just assimilate and just pick up and, just really absorb all the messages that are being fed to us. So that's kind of my advice to answer the first part of your question. And then you said, what was my journey like? So I've been on this tumultuous journey called life.
Yeah, feels.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful, chaotic journey. Let's just say that. It's a beautiful, chaotic journey. I believe in reincarnation. So I know, we've had many, many lives. So this is like one life, another life where we are balancing out our karmas. And with that balance of karma comes a lot of chaos. So we've got the good and the challenging and the in-between, right? So my journey has been, I've faced a lot of karma in my life. So I've had a lot to, reckon with and deal with and overcome. Every challenge has made me stronger. During the pandemic is when I really hit rock bottom. I was facing a number of karma at the same time. So let's say a number of negative karma, right? Because you can have positive, good karma as well. So I had quite a lot of negative karma that I was trying to balance out. During the pandemic, I had quite a few challenges that I was faced with, from family problems to relationship problems to career problems, just a number of things being thrown at me. So I was at a point where I was about to hit rock bottom. So I was like, either I'm going to sink or swim right now. And it wasn't even swim. I'm like, I'm going to sink or fly, so what's it going to be? And I made the choice to really work on myself. So I went into this, I did a lot of deep self-work during that time. I did therapy. I was doing a lot of self-reflection. I was trying to become more self-aware. I had up until that point been reenacting a lot of cycles of childhood trauma. So I'm like, I want to now break these cycles. So I did so much inner work, so much personal development. I was reading books, audiobooks. For 3 months, all I did, because we had the time, right? We had that luxury of time. So all I did for those 3 months was immerse myself in personal development and healing and inner work. I had lost my confidence over the years. And during that time, I was able to rebuild myself brick by brick. So that's the beginning of the journey when I started taking my power back. So it starts with the self-awareness and then the action.
I love that you've said this, because whenever anyone asks me, Elise, how do I get started on this journey? I'm like, okay, just scrap all of the meditation and all of the other bits and pieces, right? Firstly, you've just got to become aware, and meditation is a vehicle for awareness. But at the start, in my journey, all I did was just notice what I was even thinking about, because at that point in time, during COVID as well, like yourself, I was just so unconscious to the thoughts that I would think. It was just a natural habit and routine. So once I started becoming aware, oh, why did I think like that? Or why am I judging this person? Or why am I judging myself? And like you said, questioning everything. That's when like my own personal development and growth like truly took off because of like that awareness piece. So I love that you said that first. So if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, okay, Moon said to question everything in my life, right? Maybe would you be able to provide us with like 2 prompts or 2 ways that people could question these parts of their life?
Absolutely. So I would break it down into 2, your lifestyle choices and your values. So that's it. It's as simple as that. So so looking at your lifestyle, so that under that would come your career and would come like any type of relationship, significant relationships. So that's your friendships and romantic partnerships. So I'd say look at those key areas. And so that's your life. Those are your lifestyle choices, career and relationships. And then our values. So things like, are you smoking and drinking because your peers are smoking and drinking alcohol? Or are you doing those things because that's something you want to do? Have you chosen that for yourself? I know that when I started smoking as a teenager, it was due to peer pressure. And then I kept it up out of habit. I started drinking because of peer pressure. And something else as women that we need to talk about as a value is intimacy, physical intimacy. That is super key as well, because again, as women, from the time we hit puberty, we are pretty much really pressured and coerced into being intimate with boys when we're not ready. We don't even want to, and we're pressured to. And this is, again, that's another value. So that comes under lifestyle, romantic relationships, so you've got your friendships, your romantic relationships, as I said, under that, and your career. So when it comes to your romantic relationships, question that too. So I personally have chosen to practice abstinence from sex because I'm at a point in my life where I'm not just going to give it away to anybody. I know how much of an energy exchange it is. I know how much I would be absorbing from that partner that I would be intimate with. So for me, I would not engage in physical intimacy unless I find a life partner who I know this is my long-term partner. I envision my future with this person. That's it. So I think that's so that comes under lifestyle, and that actually is also a value as well. So values, I would break it down to more the daily habits, right? So like your smoking, your drinking, your diet, and even like intimacy can come under that as a value as well. So yeah, lifestyle and values.
Okay, to kind of chunk it down. So if you are listening to this and you're like, okay, I'm going to write notes, it's to get clear on the relationships, like your friendships
and romantic partnerships.
Yes.
Yep. That. So lifestyle is simply career.
Oh, and your career.
And relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. So those 3 categories. And then from that.
Values are more like your daily habits.
Okay.
Like, so smoking, drinking, your diet, things like that.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what are your goals around those areas? What do you want for yourself in those 3 key parts of life? And then looking at your values or what your daily habits are and seeing, does that match to what I actually truly desire?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's how you take your power back.
Exactly.
Amazing. Okay, so tell me then your journey. You went through COVID and you did heaps of personal development work. And like we've mentioned at the start of this show, this focus of like turning aging into excitement. I really love this topic because even for myself, I work with a lot of people in the creative industry. They're quite young and they're in like their like late 20s, 30s, and I always say to people, 30 is the new 20, because a lot of others that I talk to, they're always like, oh, I'm turning 30. And then they automatically start acting old and their language is around, I'm getting old and things like this, right? So I'd love to hear your perspective on, age and what your journey has been, right? Because I'm sure the listeners want to know, like, why specifically this niche for you? And how is it that you rewrite the script for that? Because I think it's a huge pressure in society at the moment. Like once you hit a certain age, then like there's no hope or chance or whatever for your goals, etc. But I really don't believe that's the case. So I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I love how you just summarize that as well. It's so true. It's like in today's world, there's more pressure on age than ever before, right? Because we live in the era of social media. We are looking at our reflections more than ever when it comes to Instagram, TikTok, Zoom, you name it. We're constantly looking at our reflection, and that was not the case before when I was growing up. I grew up in the 80s, and when I was growing up, it was a whole nother story. You weren't like staring
Totally
at
different world.
Yeah, different world. We didn't even have a mobile phone at that time.
It's so wild to think, especially with AI and things like that now. It's like, wow, what a journey the past few decades have been. It's crazy.
Exactly. And another really key point that you said people start using the language that I'm getting older, and then they start acting as if. So that's one of my key steps as well, which we'll go over, because the language you use, like your words are your spells, right? Mm-hmm. Spelling. So it's the words we use, we're setting spells essentially for what we manifest.
I love that.
And so that's why it's so important that we choose those words really wisely. So I do have some tips for people. As for why did I choose this niche? So during the pandemic, I really wanted to take my power back by finding my life purpose. I wanted to work for myself. It's a dream I always had. I just didn't know what. I tried, many different things, trial and error, like a spiritual streetwear brand and this and that, dabbling in different things, crystal jewelry brand. And nothing was really resonating because it wasn't aligned with my soul purpose. And part of that self-development journey during the pandemic was me reconnecting with my purpose. And your purpose is a reflection of your true authentic self and what you have to share with the world. Like, it's something that will really help to elevate the world around you. That's what your purpose is on this planet. So I found my purpose in asking myself, who am I? Right? Like, who am I? What do I stand for? What did I enjoy back in childhood, in my, my years of between the age of 7 to 11, 12, before I was overly peer pressured and conditioned? What did I just find myself, just aimlessly spending hours doing in just pure bliss and enjoyment? I had to go back to that. And when I just tapped into that inner voice and that remembrance, it was literally like spirituality and self-development. And I'm someone who loves to motivate and uplift. It's something I've always done since I was a kid. My teachers used to always say that about me as well. Just if you believe in something, that passion really comes through. So finding my purpose, it was in this area. And then I was like, okay, now how do I share this with the world? How do I present this? And that's what was a bit of an adventure and a journey. So I started with day retreats in London because we were coming out of the pandemic and people were really hungry to connect with each other in person, but maybe not so keen to be traveling overseas and things. So I started these gorgeous boutique style day retreats in London. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I was basically organizing, executing them, but I would have different facilitators come in to deliver the value. And over time, I was like, I have so much wisdom that I want to share from my many lives lived in this life and all the challenges I've overcome, the pain I've turned into purpose, all of that. I'd love to share that. So then I started progressing into more of a personal brand and as an expert. And interestingly, the universe chose manifesting for me. I was hosting a day retreat with the theme of manifesting. It was called Manifest.
That's when I started this podcast.
Is it? Yeah. Look at that. There you go. Another sign. Jan 2022, I was hosting this retreat and I had some interest from the press. So I had somebody from the Observer magazine come along, Elle magazine. So I was featured in some really big press and I was then named a manifesting expert, and then I became one.
So much.
And then I became one, and then I started getting lots of opportunities to work with really big brands. So I would, go in and deliver talks as a manifesting expert, and then from there, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be known for manifesting. That's not what I want to be known for, because it's not all that I stand for. And it wasn't something I chose. It kind of chose me at that time it was like a door opening for me to show me the way. And then I'm like, okay, again, how do I empower myself to be more authentic, to really share that message of like my own truth? So I started thinking about other niches that I could explore. And intuitively, I was like, age empowerment. At that time, I was like almost 40. And I knew that the thing that people are most curious about, one of the things they're most curious about when it comes to me, is my age. When I say my age, people like, you know, they have like an out of body experience.
I feel like everyone on this show right now is like wondering the same thing. Like I literally, when you came in, you're just talking about age empowerment and this stuff, I was just like, you literally are like the symbol of youth, because of like the colors that you wear, that you're just glowing. And I think it's a massive testimony to the work that you do. Like, I think it's absolutely incredible.
Thank you. No, it's age is really just a number, and it's an energy. Actually, it's an energy. It's how you feel within, and that's what's going to reflect out into the world, and that's how people will see you. They're literally mirroring back what you're presenting to them, the energy that you're feeding out. So that's why I chose that. But then I talked myself out of it for like a year, and I was like, oh, but I want something like a niche that's more spiritual, has more depth. And I just kind of tried to overcomplicate it. And then I came back to it in the end, and I was like, no, this is definitely it. And it is such a layered topic. It is a topic of such substance, because it's so simple, like age empowerment. I guess I tried to overthink it. The beauty, it's the simplicity as well. So when people are choosing things like their niche, it's best to not overthink it, not overcomplicate it. One of the things I help people do as well with one-to-one mentoring is finding their purpose, turning it into a personal brand. So these are like some tips that I would share from that experience. So I chose that because, like I said, it embodies like everything I stand for. The mindset, like all the self-work I've done, the self-love that I've really built up and acquired, the self-care, so all the wellness practices that I do and all that. Like, so there are 3 aspects to age empowerment that I have kind of defined. So one is mindset, because it all starts here with how we think, of course, right? How we think about ourselves, how we then feel about ourselves, how we speak about ourselves, and then that becomes, how we act, and that's our destiny and our reality and our destiny. So mindset is huge, then self-love and self-care. So these are the 3 main categories. And then under those, I've further broken down the steps.
Beautiful. Yes. Because you mentioned earlier spells and the words that you speak being part of this step system that you use to take your power back, right? So for people that are listening to this right now, wanting to take notes, they're like, okay, Moon, I love your vibe. I want to take my power back. What can they do? What are the steps? Tell us.
Okay. So it starts, there's a lot of steps. So it would take us quite a long time to get through.
That's in her mentoring. So you go to her mentoring for that.
But so I'll choose a few, because in mindset, we've probably got 5, 6 different areas alone just in that. But I'll start with the one that you pointed out, because to me, that's my favorite and one of the most important, and that's language. So the language we use around aging is key. Even aging, I don't even like to say aging. I try to use really positive words as often as I can, instead of claiming the words that have a negative connotation. So old, if you look it up in the dictionary, it means expired, it means stale, it means, past the use by date.
That's awful. Right? Guys, get that out of your vocab, right?
The number 1 most used term to describe ourselves includes the word old, because we're constantly telling people, I'm 30 years old. Someone asks, I'm 30 years old. I'm going to be 31 years old. We're constantly equating ourselves with being expired and decline. So I choose not to use the word old. I've pretty much removed it from my vocab. I will, instead, if someone asks me, I'll be like, I'm 41 with a smile.
You know what? As you were saying this, I was literally just thinking, I was like, I don't actually say I'm 24 years old. I just say I'm 24.
I love that.
I love that. But I didn't even know I did that.
Awesome. Yes. That's
There you
great. So
go.
intuitively, your body's probably rejecting, like claiming
Maybe.
that power,
Yeah,
right?
that is
Affirming
so
that.
cool. Okay, guys, write that down.
So removing the word old. So now what are the replacements, right? So instead I say I'm 41, or you could say I'm celebrating 24 years of life. You know, you could say that.
I love that.
Right? So
yeah.
I encourage people to come up with their own list of vocab that really resonates with them. So how do you speak? So I like to just say I'm 41, like, you know,
Yeah.
like boom, like just
And
standing in
wait,
that.
that's your actual age?
Yeah.
Guys, out of body experience. Like, honestly, you have to watch this back. If you're listening to this, you need to watch, because Moon, she's just glowing right now. Like, no way.
So 41. So I just stand in that power and I really put my back into it. You know, I just like, boom. It's like that confidence. And the more you affirm it, the more you step into that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a process. You could say, you know, at one of my talks, I asked the audience to kind of throw out their vocab words, like some of their favorite words that they would use as replacements. And somebody said, I'm getting yummier. Instead of I'm getting older, she's like, I'm getting yummier. I'm like, yes, you are.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's like whatever resonates with you, what feels good to you. So yeah, so that's on language and vocab. So that's like one key step. Another key step would be, I would say, growth mindset. So continuously wanting to learn, because another thing that we sometimes do on autopilot is we go to work, we come home, we're tired, we might eat unhealthily, we might watch some TV, then we sleep, then we repeat. You know, weekends we might socialize, we might go out with our friends, we might go out drinking. So how often are we really like consciously making an effort to learn new skills? So having a growth mindset is another way to really empower yourself through your age. So I'm starting to get back into dance, but like choreography as well, and I haven't done choreography for like probably 20 years. So, because I grew up as a dancer, then I've been out of practice for like 20 years now. And so my friends and I hired a dance studio, just 3 of us. And we're just going to create and like choreograph and then just dance it back together. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it was challenging.
I love this so much. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love dancing. Like, I grew up dancing and I lost touch with dance like as I got older through high school because it wasn't cool anymore. And I remember on my like first key point of personal development, I made it a mission of mine to do everything that scared me. And one of those things was dancing in front of people, because I stopped dancing and I would find myself at parties relying on getting drunk to then feel confident enough to dance in front of my friends. So I had 2 realizations. One, that I kept telling myself through my language, I'm too shy to dance. Like, I need to be more drunk to be on that level. That was the one thing. Second thing was that I was hanging around the wrong people, because if you're hanging around your people, you won't feel that shyness to like not do the thing that you love and that you enjoy. You'll feel like so comfortable to be your authentic self. And so I was like, nope, I'm making it my mission to step out of my comfort zone, have a growth mindset. And I went and did lessons with like girls that were like way younger than me, but hey, I rocked up and I was like, yep, I'm the oldest here, but whatever. I was the yummiest there, but whatever. And, like, I went and did a concert and everything, and I busted that fear. And now, like, literally, you're gonna love this. I went to Ultra, which is like a 3-day festival in Croatia, like not last year, the year before. And I was completely sober the whole time. Like, did not drink, did not take any hallucinogens or anything like this, because a lot of people question, oh, like, if you didn't drink, you did this. I was like, no, I was just high on my life, dancing the night away. And I was the last person standing at 4 a.m. every single day.
Yes,
because I had so much fun and I was my authentic self. So I just wanted to add that in there. Dance. Okay, I love this.
I love that for you as well, living your best life at Ultra Festival 4 a.m. And I completely get that. Like, now I've been sober for 7 years, and I, again, like, go out dancing and I will be like shaking my ass so hard on the dance floor, sober. And I'm like just getting down because like, we don't need it. We don't need it. And
no.
when you find your confidence, that's when like you become really strong and grounded in your values, and nobody can sway you, nobody can coerce you, and you'll live your best life. So it's all about re-empowerment. And that's why, like, when you said that in the beginning, like, why self-empowerment and what does that mean to you? It's all of this that we're chatting about now.
Oh, this is so great. Okay, so what's like one more step that the listeners can take away from this episode today?
Absolutely. So those are a couple from mindset, right? So those are a couple really, really key, important ones. Then self-love is more just about celebrating what you've gained with age rather than what you've lost. So what have you gained, right? Yeah. So it's focusing on like all the wisdom, the lessons learned, the experience gained, the skills gained, the confidence gained, like celebrating those. So I really like urge people to just, anytime you're feeling a fear about, oh, I've lost this or I'm too old for that, like flip the script and focus on what you've gained with age. So that's a really important one for self-love. So that's celebrating, right? Mm-hmm. And then I would say for the final area, which is self-care. Mm-hmm. Yep. So self-care is really looking at, so we've got wellness and then we've got like the personal relationships in your life. So these are two areas under self-care. So self-care is like, we have to look at our habits again. So how much sleep we're getting, how are we nourishing our body when it comes to eating? Are we eating predominantly a whole food diet, less processed food, less sugar? I mean, I'm not perfect. I have, I falter quite a bit myself, but I try my best. Every day is a new opportunity to begin again. So that, and then so sleep is like the number one, because we cannot function without good sleep, right? Movement, the way we move our bodies, hydration, nature, all of that is key for age empowerment. And then the most important step, which I've been talking about on my Instagram stories like every day recently.
Yes, tell us.
The company you keep. So if you're surrounded by people who are very negative, who are complaining, I'm getting older, this is like going wrong in my life, or, I haven't met the person that I'm meant to be with, I'm never going to meet them. If you hang around with people with a negative mindset, it will rub off on you. It will. You are literally the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. Like, that is who you are. So I have been really I've had high vibe friends now since I've started working on myself, but I've been calling in even more. Like, I've been wanting to manifest even more. And I kid you not, 2 high vibe people literally just came into my life in like the past 1 week. And they're so high vibe. When people like really push you to like, they're like, okay, level up more. So one, I met this amazing person named Shaq at the gym. And now to you, oh my God, do you know Shaq? He's like the sweetest sweetheart ever. Oh. He knows about astrology. He knows about like, we talk about spirituality. We talk about culture, music, just everything. He's like,
Shaq, you're a vibe.
Shaq, you're a vibe. You know it. He's one of my favorite peeps right now. So we trained together. I was literally calling in, like I wanted somebody I could level up my fitness game with. And Shaq just came into my life and now we're like training buddies.
Yes.
And it is like, he is helping me. So today I did my 4th day of weight training and weightlifting, and he'll give me tips as well, and we'll like work out together. So today is like day 4. Then I have another friend who I literally just met again, like a week ago, and he is like on another level when it comes to like his manifesting, his journaling, he goes to sleep at 9 p.m. He wakes up at 5 a.m. He's at the gym first thing in the morning, training 5 days a week, the discipline, the eating clean and healthy, the therapy, like he's got it all going on. And he's actually like, I met him a week ago and I'm already leveling up more just from his influence.
Yeah, I love that so much. I completely agree with you. Like, the company that you keep, that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Like, that's like a quote like you hear all throughout the personal development industry. I truly believe this. And even for myself in my own journey, I've noticed like my relationships change like a deck of tarot cards, like every single day, like because of the rapid growth that I've had over the past 2 years, even just of starting this podcast to where I am now. Like I moved from Australia to London, and the community that I've built here is just so different to what I had in Australia. And not because of like the difference in people, it's because of the difference in myself and the ability now to attract in people that are resonating at that high vibration. And yeah, like I'm very grateful that I have connections in both countries now, and I feel so grateful. Like just the people that I'm meeting, I'm so inspired by. And like you said, it inspires you to do more or be more. And I think that's really special. Like I actually was watching a documentary the other day of the Beatles, and the relevance of this is during their time of like fame and popularity, they had like this rivalry with the Beach Boys, right? And these two bands were actually inspired by each other, but the press would make it like there's like this battle, who's better, who's at the top of the charts. But actually, like I'm pretty sure the Beach Boys had released this track, and then like the Beatles called them up and were like, hey, yo, we want to listen to your new sound. And they had like the Beatles come in and listen in on their tunes, and like that then inspired the next album for the Beatles that like really took off. And I share this because even for myself, when I see inspiring people, like sometimes I get triggered and I'm like, oh, whoa, like, okay, they're just showing me where I am successful. They're in my life to show me that if they can do that, I can too. Because if I wasn't of that capacity and that ability, they wouldn't be in my life. I wouldn't be noticing that, because what you see is just a reflection of like the values that you have, because your mind is wired to see what you value. And so I share this as to rewrite the script and like the people that you surround yourself with, as instead of being competition or people that are your same year level or whatever in school or wherever you're at in life, to see your peers as inspiration and a reflection of the success that's also available to you.
Love that. Absolutely. Wow. That was like a beautiful little nugget of wisdom all wrapped up. I love the example as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it just came to my mind because I think that's really relevant for me even at the moment, is being very conscious of who I'm spending my time and energy with, because like you said, it is so important. And I love all of these tips so much. And I'm sure the listeners have received so much value from this episode. So Moon, if my listeners, the community, anyone tuning in today wants to connect with you, wants to learn more about your mentoring and what you have to offer, like tell us, go on. Tell us, how can we find you? How can we access more of this wisdom?
Thank you so much. So I use Instagram probably like the most. I'd say like, so people, if they have more questions, you can hit me up in a DM. So it's at moon.onyx, that's ONYX.star with a double R. So Instagram, I'm very active on. I post all of my upcoming events on there. And if people have like mentoring inquiries, if they want to know more about my mentoring, the link in my bio has my website. It has the info about my mentoring and the membership. So I have a personal empowerment membership, which is an online community. And we go through different like master classes that I will lead live on Zoom every month. Again, all about empowering ourselves, all about leveling up. And we're doing it as a community. So it's a beautiful, supportive community where we can share and grow together. And then I provide like motivational messages in there, gratitude prompts, things like that.
I love this so much. Okay, so to finish off this episode today, Moon, I ask all of my guests when they come on my show this question. I think it is so powerful to end on. So if you were to tune into your intuition or your heart, the first thing that comes to you, it doesn't have to relate to what we've spoken about today, but what do you think is the key thing listeners need to hear right now? What does the collective need to hear right now?
I love that. So the first word that immediately came to like intuitively popped in to my heart center would be love. Like, we just need more love. We need more love in the world. But first and foremost, we need more self-love. Like, it starts with us. If we truly love ourselves, we can pour that love into others and into the world around us. So love, it's like, find that self-love, celebrate yourself, appreciate yourself. We pour so much love into everybody else. We'll tell our best friend, like, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing, yet we'll say to ourselves, you're ugly, you're fat, you're not good enough, you're this, you're stupid, this. Like, that's it. Pour that love that you pour into your best friend into yourself, and allow that to fill you up so big. Allow your heart to swell with so much love that it will just pour into every other area of your life. And when we lead with love, we are absolutely our most beautiful, empowered selves.
I have so many goosebumps right now. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. You're just such a ray of light.
Oh,
it's beautiful being in your energy.
Thank you. And to you.